And hi, how's everyone doing tonight? My name is Sam, also known as the Metalhead, and I'm joined here by Seamus, the old man Jim. Could not join us tonight,
Because
but
he ain't got no fucking money and he can't afford to see more than one movie in December.
well, I was hoping to do sort of like what I did with Blade Runner by sort of explaining kind of what I saw, but in this case, both of us actually saw the movie, so that's good. Hmm.
Yes, I saw it opening weekend that Saturday.
As did I. Well, I saw it on the I saw it on that Monday.
Mm.
But yeah. Initially I'll let you kind of start off. What are your thoughts on The Disaster Artist?
All right. Well, first, I guess I'll just lay out for, I'm sure everyone's familiar at this point as to what the disaster artist is. It is basically a modern Ed Wood. It's based on a book which accounts the making of one of the worst movies ever made. Although I think The Room is a great movie. You know, it's about the making of The Room, and I thought that was a great movie. In fact, I think it's better than The Disaster Artist, but we'll get into those reasons. Uh, my impression of it, it bills itself as kind of a quirky comedy. I'm thinking. I mean, it's mainly a vehicle for fan service. Um, like because I think pretty much all of the laughs you'll get are related to things that happened in the movie that this movie is retelling the making of. Um, whereas the disaster artist itself, all of its plot points tend to focus more on the sweet uh, aspect. It's a bit cute in some places, and I have not read the book that it's based off of. I asked someone who had, and they say, like, yeah, this really isn't a story of friendship, which might explain why some of the motivations of the characters come off strange. But yeah, uh, I mean, where to begin? With did I think it was entertaining? Yeah, I guess I had a good time. You know, mostly because I like the real life character of Tommy Wiseau. Um, did I think it was funny? At times, I chuckled a few times. So maybe by most people's standards, that means it's fucking hilarious. And but this might have just come from me knowing about like that kind of reference humor. Uh, where I'm familiar with The Room. I don't know if someone who hasn't seen it would care about this or find it interesting. And yeah, some of the acting was all right. It was probably Seth Rogen's best performance because I didn't hate him. Uh, Sam, what are your broad thoughts? We can focus on specifics eventually. So, how about you? Go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. Going into the movie, there are a few things that I didn't like because I on the beginning of it, I thought it was kind of a cheat how they had all of those famous people talking about their experiences seeing the room, like anything that has to employ Kevin Smith is like, oh yeah, I saw this and I'm Kevin Smith, I'm long-winded and shit, just kind of loses a little bit of credibility for me because I do like Kevin Smith, but at the same time I feel like they're just kind of trying to build up that anticipation, I guess. um and I'm a big believer in show don't tell for movies as far as that goes, but the things that I did like, I thought I was going into it expecting sort of a straight comedy, but I kind of walked out of it seeing sort of like on it was more of like a drama that you would see from one of those indie film um one of those indie film studios like A24, which I found interesting. And again, like to answer your question about people who have not seen The Room, I went to go see that with my girlfriend. She's never seen The Room before. The only thing she knows about The Room is that it's the Citizen Kane of bad movies, and that it inspired a terrible Tommy Wiseau impression that I do all the time that gets on her nerves.
Hmm.
But the thing that impressed me about the movie, though, is that it went from her like the first 2 minutes of the movie saying, "I can't sit through 2 hours of this Tommy Wiseau impression," to her actually really sympathizing with a fictionalized Tommy Wiseau.
Hmm. Yeah, I did. And I guess credit to uh, James Frank with whatever liberties he took with the story and his fairly decent impression of Tommy Wiseau. He's a little too handsome for Tommy Wiseau. Maybe they should have put more prosthetics on him because he looked fucked up and craggy back in 2003. Now he's like a weird skeleton as well. But yeah, when there's a scene in the third act of the movie in which the two protagonists out, and it was kind of pathetic and earned my sympathy when Time Wiseau goes, "I know you don't like me anymore." it's like it's like yeah, maybe that's just me feeling for my idealized version of Tommy Wiseau, because Tommy Wiseau is
Yeah.
kind of a mythical character at this point. Nobody knows anything about him.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Actually, did you see it was on I'm gonna go off track for a second. It was on Jimmy Kimmel. But anyways, he asked Tommy, like, where are you from? He goes, yeah, I'm from New Orleans. Well, I come from Europe, but I come from America now. And then James Franco absolutely lost his shit. Like, Jimmy Kimmel didn't realize how historic that was that Tommy Wiseau finally admitted that he's from Europe.
yeah, it's like no shit. It's I'm almost a little surprised that he broke his own character because, of course, Tommy Wiseau had been saying that he was from New Orleans as long as he has been on the public record.
He all American guy.
Yeah, if we're going to go off onto this little side path for a moment, what is your theory as to who Tommy Wiseau is and where he got his money?
My theory is that Tommy Wiseau was around at some point during the 18th century,
Uh-huh.
and then he found a gateway into the labyrinth. And then from there, he built up, he rose his way up the ranks of hell and eventually created his own lament configuration, which is known as the Room, which leads to ultimate suffering. In short, Tommy Wiseau is a Cenobite.
Okay. See, my theory was more that he was a Northern European criminal in the 80s and 90s, and is essentially fled and is living under an assumed name with
Well,
his with his foreign bank account.
I do. In all seriousness, there is actually this really compelling argument that the Room was nothing more than a money laundering scheme. So that kind of does it, like in some way, check out with the ambiguity of Tommy Wiseau.
Money laundering. I mean, that seems. I don't think of it. I mean, movies are always like, safe bet tax write-offs, which is why Germans, will go to another country, Uwe Boll, why he will go to, North America and make a movie. And because you can, like, if it fails, you can write the whole thing off as a tax credit. And yeah, I don't know. It took Tommy Wiseau up until just now to make a profit, right? What was didn't it say in the movie like last year it finally turned a profit?
Yeah, yeah.
It,
Which that I'm kind of interesting. Yeah. I did like that. I did like that part in the movie though when Seth Rogen goes to cash a check and he's like, "Do you want that in 20s?" He goes, "Wow, it really cashed out. I'm surprised." He goes, "Yeah, this account. is a bottomless pit.
Yeah. What a he's it's the it's he's an interesting, mysterious character.
He
Anyway,
is, yeah.
back to the movie itself.
Mhm.
Um, did you find yourself laughing out loud or just kind of chuckling knowingly?
Yeah, a few scenes that are like, directly when they're filming the room, absolutely. Like I chuckled knowingly. But one scene that did make me laugh out loud was Zac Efron's little cameo. Just when he's like getting himself pumped up for that scene, it's just a close up of James Franco going, "Wow, that guy monster." It's
Hmm.
just like for some reason that like oh god, that had me laughing very hysterically.
Yeah, Chris R. Um, I guess. I guess I was just like kind of the accuracy of some of the the of like costume design and I actually no, it wasn't the accuracy of of the costume design. It was the accuracy of the delivery and timing when they were recreating those scenes. Um, for some reason, the costume design seemed like off. Like they got people who like if you're gonna go all the way and like recreate something shot for shot, it's like you know, Denny's hair is like a lot longer and less balding than it was
Yeah.
in real life.
Yeah, I mean, like
Um,
it was the hair was different, but
yeah,
like for the most part, like all the clothes were the same, like fit the same. I thought it was pretty good.
yeah. The what was it? The Dave Franco, is that his name?
Yes.
Yeah, like his beard looked like it had been shaven off of somebody else and then stuck back on with glue.
It kind of did in some scenes, yeah.
Which makes me wonder, like, is it fake or does he have pubes on his face? Ginger pubes.
Another thing too
Maybe
is
it
like
was.
the whole Bryan Cranston cameo. Like, part of me really doubts that part is based on
Yeah,
anything in particular. But
yeah. I think I was told that that didn't happen. I mean, I guess it's just meant to make it. It's. I guess it was somewhat necessary for the disaster artist movies plot because I guess the real reason for conflict between Tommy Wiseau and the people that work for him is that he wasn't paying them on time, uh, and so that's the real thing, and not that this was the conflict between like a friendship and um, the dashing of someone's dreams. Uh, yeah, they were all just self-interested. Uh,
yeah,
want to be actors and whatnot. And Tommy Wiseau was just like an asshole on set, I guess, and
that
wasn't a very good producer.
that is one interesting thing though, because I did read some reports of him like refusing to pay for water and like all of this stuff, which they included into the film. Which I don't know. I would really like to see a psychologist's analysis of Tommy Wiseau because there's something about the guy that's incredibly off, like just socially, mentally, and of course, no shit, Sherlock. But I'd really like to know like a professional opinion of what they think is going on up there because I'd be
Uh,
really curious to find out.
he's probably just an extreme narcissist. Um, that would probably be it because the entire thing is a vanity project, essentially. Um, it's like I am going to write and produce and direct and star, and it's going to be about me and how I am such a great guy. Everyone is constantly telling the character of Johnny
That is
in the
one
room
interesting
what,
thing that
what a great guy.
that's one interesting that I got from this though because what I forgot to say too is like it would have been so easy to take an approach to this film where it's just straight up completely satire, like completely ripping on the guy. And like I say this because like when we watched The Room, I think I ripped on Tommy Wiseau way too much. I think I was making fun of him the most out of like all three of us. So yeah, like it's a really easy thing to do, but like in some way, like, you know, Tommy Wiseau was actually like really endeared to me. So I like gained a lot more respect than I already had for the guy just because of The Room,
Yeah,
which I
watching The Room does not make you want to make fun of or hate Tommy Wiseau. It's more like he becomes your little pet, or it's just like having a really dumb friend, you know,
Mhm.
and they're just kind of fun to watch stumble around.
And like that's the interesting thing too about this because like you see how Tommy Wiseau reacts to people making fun of him for being like as weird as he is and all that. And I think that's something that's actually really relatable because like how do you make somebody so weird absolutely relatable but at the same time, you know, it's just people probably made fun of him all the fucking time. Like people probably all, like his whole life, people probably made so much fun of him because I'm pretty sure he was that weird his entire life. So I think that it's very plausible that's his motivation for wanting to be a star so that everybody would end up loving him, which I thought was probably the most compelling part of this whole movie.
Yeah, didn't the disaster artist say something about Tommy Wiseau being in a car crash?
Yeah, yeah,
That's
he
why he
said the
changed
reason why he wanted to be an
it.
actor was to
Yeah.
it was because he got into a car crash and it was like a wake-up call. He almost died.
Maybe Tommy Wiseau has Gary Busey syndrome, and that his brain is damaged in such a way that it awoke, um, his inner passionate, but very, very strange and filterless self.
Yeah, yeah.
Not
As
as
far
not as
oh, go-
extreme as Gary Busey, because Tommy Wiseau actually has shame in some regard. He can feel embarrassment. But yeah, go on.
oh yeah, yeah. Um, that was one thing too because like I said, my girlfriend was just really like she was really prepared to be annoyed the whole way through, and then like during parts of the movie, she kept on like turning to me and being like, "Oh my God, I feel so bad for him." Oh my God, he's crying. This is so sad. I want to give him a hug. And I was all like, holy shit. Like, she just said that she would hug what she described as like the most terrifying looking person ever. This is kind of a success on that note.
No, Tommy Wiseau isn't scary. He's just deformed. He's scary in the way Herman Munster is scary. It's a cartoony kind of scary with a little bit of disgust mixed in. But even saying that is too mean. I don't mean it, Tommy. If you ever want to come on the Geekcast, we'd be happy to have you. But yeah, they did a good job of characterization, making him seem like a person you have sympathy for. I'm not sure if the real Tommy Wiseau is if that'd be really appropriate. Um, the real him is more of like an asshole and a guy who will like threaten to sue you if you make fun of his movie.
Right.
If we all go back to what was it, like 2005 or whenever, like the it started to gain its cult following, or maybe it was
Yeah.
later, like 2008.
Yeah. Yeah. When they started playing it at colleges. Um, that's an interesting thing too, because I just saw that Tommy Wiseau got a Twitter after this movie came out.
Just now.
Yeah, and he said that he said he tweeted, "Oh, hi Mark. I'd love to direct a Star Wars movie. I wait for Disney to contact me, some shit like that."
Yeah, Tommy Wiseau claims to know George Lucas
He
in a
claims a lot of things, yeah.
I mean, his entire persona, his whole being from New Orleans thing's a fucking lie. Wherever he gets his money, he is concealing. So he's not a trustworthy source.
No,
But I
no,
would love
not
to
at
see
all.
Tommy Wiseau direct the next Star Wars.
I'd like to see him star in the next Star Wars, for Christ's sake. Like,
Yeah, any point. I would love Tommy Wiseau to do the voice of the little rabbit thing that I guess
oh yeah, the little,
no,
what is it, the Porg?
that's what they call it.
Yeah,
Sounds sounds like an innuendo,
kind of
like
does.
organ someone.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, back on track. What were some standouts for you with this movie? Could be anything, like the way it was edited, a certain performance. Sky's the limit with that.
yeah, it's one thing that stood out to me is that it's very strange. It's a strange feeling that to reach that age where people are making period pieces about a time that you lived through and remember well. You know, it's like because this is technically a period piece about the late '90s, early 2000s. And it's like um, with some of the costumes they had, like um, Mark there is wearing like a t-shirt, like an Adidas shirt that has like the one stripe across the top, and it's like, God, I used to wear that. That and like big, black like skateboarding shoes, like Vans and whatnot, mixed with baggy cargo khakis, lots of belts and things like that. It's like frosted tips. And it's like, oh Jesus, this is too familiar. I now know what it's like to be, say, someone who is now in their late 40s, 50s. To when people make movies about like the 1980s, we had the 80s revival thing a few years ago. To and they're kind of like, the 80s wasn't that great. It wasn't really that fun. It's like that's how I feel watching this thing. Um, Besides that, scenes that stood out, the you don't like him anymore, I thought was a bit sad. Um,
One of our viewers on the live chat, Randy, says that he wants Tommy Wiseau to play Squizguard in Metalocalypse.
oh, I'm not familiar with Metalocalypse. That'd
Ah,
be more your domain. Does he fit?
he's not blonde enough, but Randy did say that he kind of looks like Nathan, and he is just as stupid.
Well, we can arrange it so that he'll be blonde. He's completely changed his look because, spoiler, Tommy Wiseau has a small cameo in an after credit sequence.
Yeah,
Yeah, or
I
you
didn't.
or you sat through the whole thing, right?
I didn't sit through the end credits.
Well, then you missed it. Like,
What was the end credit scene?
it's basically the real Tommy Wiseau goes up to the James Franco Tommy Wiseau, and I forget what they're even talking about. I was too focused on like, wow, Tommy looks weird, and yeah, he's trying to talk to him, or like he's making some weird point, and James Franco's just going like, "What are you talking about?" And yeah, it's just like a little thing. It doesn't have any relevance, and it's this little pocket universe in which these two meet. Um, yeah, it was weird. I also noticed. I don't know why people don't sit through the credits because it's like every movie nowadays has an after credits thing. Um, and yeah, there were people in like the theater who were just like getting up and leaving and stuff. And it's like the lights were still down.
Um,
Yeah, Tommy Wiseau looks very weird nowadays. He's very skinny. He,
oh
he
God,
lost all he lost all of the
all the
either that or
muscle.
James Franco was like a giant. Um, yeah, as you're
Uh,
saying.
for me, a real standout scene of that movie was during the premiere of The Room. There was something that they did with the sound design and just with the editing that kind of made the laughter of the whole crowd like feel a lot more like assaulting, I guess, which I thought was really, really great. You could actually like I don't know. There's something about like the cadence of the sound that kind of made you like sort of short of breath, sort of like him. It like kind of made you really, really nervous and just uncomfortable, which I really liked.
I'm not sure if I ever got nervousness from this movie. Like it,
Well, it was
I
a
don't think it really
general
had a lot of emotional
it was
depth for me.
general discomfort that I felt watching that scene. Maybe it's because like it's a similar fear that I have, like aspiring to make films of my own or something like that, so I could connect
Some
with
people that
that sort of feeling. Yeah, but I don't know, I just thought that scene was really, really well done, and like I don't know, I really felt for the guy too.
yeah, he is made to be a lot more. So he's a lot cuter
Mhm.
than he is in real life.
Yeah,
You get and cute, like emotionally, in that like he's made out to be kind of like a child, like they where he's really more in real life he's a lot more kind of like angry and petty. um,
yeah, I can see that.
yeah, and the character of what is the name of, for some reason I can't think of it. What is the name of the guy who played Mark?
Oh, Greg.
Yeah, Greg Sestero. The Greg Sestero character, I feel like, didn't have all that much motivation. He just seems to like because he's basically the main protagonist. Um, like we follow him for most of the time. Tommy Wiseau is just kind of this thing that the audience gawks at from a distance. Um, but the character seems kind of like dumb, and that he doesn't have like his own like will. He just kind of goes along with whatever the Tommy Wiseau character is doing, and they don't seem to give him that much agency. Like he is depicted as like an actual child, which at the time he kind of was. He's 18 or whatever. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
can see that.
I felt like we could have seen more of like his own motivations.
Yeah, yeah. That would have been interesting. Although I think the main focus, like what people really want to see, is Tommy.
Yeah, it's all about the impression and the accuracy
Yeah.
of it, and the fan service essentially. Like
Actually, when you talk about the impression, sorry, what are your thoughts on that character intro scene?
the character intro say, oh, the character intro
The
scene.
first time that you see Tommy,
Oh, where he's just
I
going and
I thought that was really well done, though, how it's sort of like that over the shoulder sort of silhouette the very first time you see him.
yeah, I don't remember much of. I remember the scene. I just don't remember the specifics of the camera work. Um, yeah, it was always the throughout the entire movie. You'll have fun just kind of gawking at him.
I thought, like, well, what I thought was interesting about that movie, though, is like the drama teacher in that scene. She's all like, "We need you to open up to us," and then she says, "Is there anybody?" And she uses like a specific choice of words, "Anybody who's willing to expose themselves to us." And like immediately, it was probably my dirty mind that I'm all like, "Yeah, he exposed his ass to all of us." And then
That,
he's all
that was
like,
intentional.
"I'll do it." And it's that over the shoulder sort of silhouette, and you don't even see him. She's all like, "What do you have for us today, Thomas?" And he stands up and he walks down and you go, "It Tommy. It always Tommy."
And yeah, there's a lot of there's a lot of George Lucas. It's like poetry. It rhymes,
Oh
and that
yeah.
yeah, it's like most of the dialogue is like kind of referencing something in the room, or
Yeah.
calling back to some kind of scene.
I can see that, yeah. Well,
At any point, does James Franco say, "Tastes good"? They should have done that in the diner scene. Like
yeah.
it's It's called an egg cream, Tommy. Or it's good. But
So
no,
I
it's
guess
on the
I guess final thoughts on this. On the Wiseau scale, between 1 and 5 Tommies, how would you rate this film?
okay. So one of them is towards the more competent end, and then five is tearing me apart.
Yeah.
Um, I'm
5
not.
is just Tommy destroying the room.
Yeah, I'll. um, goddamn, it's. I feel like I could have enjoyed this a lot more. It had its moments. It was. I chuckled a few times. I had a little twinge of sadness in one scene. But is that enough for me to recommend it? I don't know. If you're a giant fan of the room, you'll get something out of it. Uh, I'd have to give it like I'm gonna have to give it uh I'm gonna have to give it a three Tommies. Don't touch me, motherfucker.
All right. I watched this movie. I was surprised by, I guess, how endearing Tommy Wiseau would be made out to be for me. And there were a couple of technical things that I mentioned that really stuck out to me. So, yeah, I would give it a 2 out of 5 Tommies. If everybody loved each other, the world would be a better place.
Also, maybe we should flip the numbers and their meaning. This system's really confusing.
It's like golf, you score lower.
Uh, yeah, like it's for me it was a little bit over par. Um, it's nowhere near anything from my princess.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
it's
But
all right.
yeah, that was a short one tonight, guys. If you enjoyed the Disaster Artist and do you think you would score it differently, just let us know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button or that thumbs down button if you want to be a dick. That's fine with me. And anyways, I'm Sam the Metalhead, and this is my buddy Seamus. And let us know what you thought about the Disaster Artist. See you next time.
And go watch The Room.